What's up, everybody? Have you taken the Enneagram test? Are you familiar with the Enneagram test? I remember I took it a long time ago and it's all numbers. And I was like, I don't know what these numbers are. I took it and it said that I was a number 3, which is the achiever. And I was like, oh, of course I am. And it's funny because I took that Enneagram test after I had named this podcast. So I already had the Achievers podcast. And then as I learned more about achievers, I was like, I mean, some of this is flattering and some of this is really annoying to come face to face with. So today I'm going to teach you all about what to do if you are an Enneagram 3, what that means for you, what your common pitfalls are, and some strategies to help you get out of those pitfalls. Are you ready? Buckle up. Let's do this. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Deibert. I'm a performance coach for enterprise and strategic account executives. I help with your mindset and your productivity. And I find that there are so many sellers who are Enneagram 3s. There are so many of us achievers out there because, let's be honest, we achieve, okay? We push ourselves to be successful to the detriment of almost everything else. We are determined and we are absolutely going to be successful. So I think the Enneagram is really interesting. I've been learning more about it lately. And I used to not like it because I was like, it's just putting you in a box. It's just like labeling you and telling you who you are. And now I realize the Enneagram tells you what box you put yourself in. It feels like the Enneagram teaches you the kind of armor and the shields that you've put up around you based on what happened in your childhood. And so it tells you like, this is the box, but it also gives you a pathway of this is how to get out of the box. So for Enneagram 3s, for the achievers, typically what happened is that when we were kids, we learned that our value happens through achievement. Our parents or caretakers or whoever was raising us would say things like, basically, we wouldn't feel worthy or we wouldn't feel good enough unless we were achieving. So for me, I remember I was pretty badly neglected as a child, but I do remember that to get into it, my dad was like non-existent, not really paying attention. He was completely gone. However, I remember specifically, he came to my swim meet one time. And after I got out of the pool, I was pretty fast. If I do say so myself, I mean, I am an achiever. I got out of the pool, still panting. I get back to my parents and my dad said, "Good job, Amber." And it was wild because this was somebody who was pretty checked out, was not paying attention, was not like interacting with me at all. And in that moment, I had everything that I was looking for. I had love. I got attention. People cared about me. And it was all because I achieved. And so I learned in that moment, this is all you have to do to get everything that you need. As a kid, all you need is love and attention and care. And so if you get that love and attention and care when you achieve, when you get good grades, when you win something, then like it burns it into your brain like, okay, this is how you get what you need. You just have to achieve. So for many achievers, their childhood was something like that. It was something where you were praised for your grades, you were praised for your successes, and that's when you finally got the love and attention that you were looking for. And so it burned into your brain, this is how you get love and attention. So it's a two-edged sword because for many of us, we use achievement as a way to measure our worth, which is kind of problematic because what if humans are worthy just because we're humans, just because we exist? But it's really hard for achievers to see things that way. We only feel as good as our last success. And we have a very limited memory of how successful we've been. We pretty much like, as soon as that success is done, like we wipe it out of our minds and we're seeking after the next thing. So this is a really key trait of achievers. We are really good at looking at the next thing that we want to achieve, and we're horrible at acknowledging what we've already created and what we've already done. The past doesn't really matter, but if I'm nowhere near getting to my next goal, then I feel really horrible about myself. If I just achieved my next goal, then I'm going to feel great for maybe like 24 hours, and then I'm off to the next thing. I'm looking for the next mile marker to be able to measure myself against. So that's kind of an overview of like who we are, how we're wired. We're absolutely going to achieve. We are going to fight tooth and nail to get everything that we ever want. And so to the outside world, people are like, what do you have to complain about? Your life looks amazing. You've achieved all these things. You've gained all this success. But on the inside, we feel horrible. because we only feel as good as our last success. We feel like our worthiness is all tied to our success and our outcomes and the things that we're getting. And for salespeople, this shows up as feeling like you're only as good as your number. What's your quota attainment right now? If it's not good, then you are not good. Let's be honest. If you're good, like if you've hit your quota, then you can feel happy for a little bit, but then like it's going to reset next year. So you're only as good as your number. Okay, so if this resonates with you, first of all, you're in a great company. And second of all, let me give you some tips and tactics that can help you. So just to take an aside for a minute, I took the Enneagram years ago, and then I retook it recently to see like what my things were. And I took like the real assessment instead of probably some free assessment that I took before. And it was really fascinating because for most of my life, I've identified as an Enneagram 3, the achiever, achieve at all costs. I'm never good enough. I'm only as good as my last success. And if my last success was more than a week ago, then like, let's be honest, I feel horrible about myself. So I retook the Enneagram after doing so much work on myself and really trying to like reprocess all of these thoughts, all of these feelings. And I'm so proud to announce that when I took the Enneagram the second time, my achiever was number 2. To me, this is a huge sign that I've really healed a lot of those parts of myself. I've really been able to find worth, and it's an ongoing battle, of course, but I've really been able to find worth within myself and who I am and not need all that external validation from the outside to tell myself that I'm successful and to tell myself that I'm good enough. So I want to just give this to you as hopefully a light in the dark that you can start to shift some of these things. You can feel better about yourself. And by the way, you can still achieve when you feel good about yourself. So let's just put that out there as well. Okay, so tip number 1 that I want to give you, stop looking forward so much and take a little bit of time to look backwards. I want you to imagine that your high school self met you today. And what would your high school self say? Or would they be dumbfounded? Would they be like, oh my gosh, how did you do all of this? You created this? You did this? This is the coolest thing ever. You have the best life. I think about that all the time. I think if my high school self could meet me today, she would be flabbergasted. She would be like, no way is that your real life. Really? You did that? How? How did you completely transform everything that you started out with and become somebody completely new and create all this amazing life? Like, first of all, she'd be amazed that I drive a car because that felt so out of reach. So first of all, she'd be like, you have a car that you can drive wherever you want, whenever you want, and you can afford gas and insurance for your car? Like, this is the best news that I've ever heard in my life. She would be blown away that, A, I can just drive anywhere I want. And she might also be blown away that it's not as fun as it seemed. So I want you to practice looking backward. I want you to practice noticing all the things that you've done and all the things that you've achieved. There's a book about this that I've heard is really good. I haven't read it, full disclosure, but if you read it, let me know what you think of it. It's on my list. It's called The Gap and the Gain. And as achievers, we're always looking at the gap of where we are and where we want to be. And we hardly ever look at the gain of how far we've come and what we've created. One technique that can be helpful for people with imposter syndrome, and I feel like achievers as well, is writing down a list of your accomplishments. Writing down exactly what you had to do to get where you are. People who have imposter syndrome a lot of times will feel like a fraud. They'll feel like people are going to find out that they just got lucky, that they're not supposed to be here, that they just kind of made it up on the way to getting to where they are. And so writing down, what specifically did you do? Another piece of imposter syndrome is feeling like you downplay your achievements. Anybody could have done what you did. It wasn't that special. It wasn't that cool. And when you write down like, no, I worked extra hours and I pushed for a promotion and I went harder. I went and hired coaches and I went to other resources and I was very resourceful in building up my knowledge so that I could perform at this level. When you look at what you actually did to achieve what you've achieved, you feel like so much less of an imposter. And you can look at that list and be like, could anybody have done what I did? Maybe. Yeah, there's probably people out there who could have done what I did. But would people have done what I did? Would they have signed up for that? Probably not. You deserve every achievement that you have. And you worked your butt off to get here. So just start to recognize that and start to appreciate what you've created and this amazing life that you have. Imagine if the past you could jump forward and sit in your house and hang out with you and eat your snacks. You'd be like, this is the best. This is so cool. You had that vision and you created it and you get to enjoy it now. Okay, another thing that can be really helpful for achievers is finding some kind of higher power that you believe in or that you think may exist, and just trust that your life is unfolding exactly how it should. It can be really, really helpful to, rather than focus on like clinging so tightly to the outcomes, instead focusing on your process and focusing on every day by day thing of, okay, I'm just going to focus on doing my best every single day. And I'm going to trust that the best outcome will happen. And I don't know what that best outcome is. It may be that there's some kind of lesson that I need to learn and I'm going to get a hard lesson, or it may be that I actually do get the thing that I'm looking after. But rather than tying yourself and your worth and your vision to these outside achievements, I want you to focus on day by day. How am I doing today? Am I doing my best today? Am I improving by maybe just 1% today? It really turns your focus from being focused on the destination of like, I'm going to get all the happiness and all the success and everything I want once I get there, and instead focusing on the journey. How can I make today the best day that it can be? How can I make today a really enjoyable day that I'm going to look back on and want to repeat and feel like I did a good job and I'm proud of myself and I would want to do that day again? When you focus more on the journey and less on the destination, it helps create more happiness and more success for you. Whereas a lot of us have met those destinations. We've had a lot of different destinations that we were trying to get to along the path. And now we've checked the box on so many of those destinations and we don't feel that much happier. Like, is it fun to drive wherever you want, whenever you want? Yeah, it's real convenient. Does my life feel like everything is solved and I'll never be unhappy again now that I drive a brand new car? No, not really. Still find other things to worry about. So a lot of times we meet those destinations and we're like, okay, I thought that was going to solve it. It didn't, but it's definitely the next thing. So I promise you, the mile markers will always change and you'll always have something that you're seeking after. So if you can create happiness and joy and ease for yourself right now, right in this moment, by thinking about how far you've come, by thinking about how beautiful your life is, that's going to create so much more happiness and remove so much of the nonsense that goes on in our brains about our worthiness. Okay, last tip that I want to give you, and this one has been incredibly profound for me as I've been on my own journey. Don't fix, feel. So for a lot of us achievers, we get in this cycle of we're so good at personal development. Like, let's just come on, can we get a trophy for this? Like, we're so good at reading the books and signing up for the coaches and listening to the podcast. Like, you're here right now. This is what you do. And we have so much knowledge and so many good ideas. But what happens is we feel bad about ourselves for whatever reason it is. Name your flavor of the week. We feel bad about ourselves and we're like, I need to fix this. This is a problem. This is like a gaping hole that I have that needs to be fixed. And so we go outside of us to try to find the solution. Like, there's got to be a book. I mean, I've got my huge shelf of books back here. I'm always like, there's a book that is going to tell me the answer that's going to solve this problem. Because so many books have solved so many problems for me. And so we go outside of us to try to find this one answer that's going to fix this gaping hole that we have inside of us. And it puts us in a perpetual cycle of never feeling good enough. Let me see if I can describe this well enough. We decide that there's something wrong with us and we tell ourselves that we need to fix it. So then we go outside of ourselves to find that knowledge. And then it just convinces us even further of see, there's things to fix. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And we just keep going in this spiraling cycle of always feeling like we have to fix ourselves. And we use personal development as a tool against ourselves to prove that we're not good enough. So what I want you to try instead is, rather than focusing on quote unquote fixing yourself, I want you to focus on feeling your emotions. And now this sounds very nebulous. I recognize I've got some other videos that tell you all about feelings and how to feel them. But I want you to focus on just letting yourself sit with whatever that feeling is. Maybe it's sadness. Maybe there's some grieving that you need to do to let go of the life that you thought you would have and instead accept the life that you do have. Maybe there's some disappointment that you need to sit with. Maybe there's some anxiety that really wants to be felt. Maybe there's some fear underneath it. There's always some kind of emotion that I don't call them negative emotions because I think all emotions are information and all informations can be really helpful. But there's some kind of emotion that feels uncomfortable that we're not willing to sit with as we're searching outside of ourselves for an answer to our problem. And again, air quotes on problem. What if it's not a problem? What if it's just a part of you that wants to be acknowledged? And it doesn't even have to be like real or true. So let me try to describe this. My therapist is always telling me that feelings and thoughts are not real. They're not true. Like they don't have to be capital T truth just because you think something. And I had this happen so clearly just like a month ago. So a lot of times if I'm someone who gets panic attacks, and if you get panic attacks, sometimes it just hits you in the middle of the night. Like you don't even thinking about anything, but like all of a sudden you wake up at 3:00 in the morning and like, there it is. There's the panic. And so this happened to me. I wake up in the middle of the night and in just full panic mode. And I'm thinking about how we can't find my son's football shoes. His cleats, they're gone. And we don't know what happened to them. And I'm like fully panicked about this in the middle of the night. And it was so interesting to step out of myself and observe all of this because A, they're the wrong shoes. They're not, they were from a past season and they're like not the right shoes for him. And B, we had already replaced them. We'd already bought a new pair of cleats for him. So the problem was actually not a problem at all. And yet I was spiraling, thinking about, could he have left them at the park? Where could they have been? Spoiler alert, a couple weeks later, we find them in his closet. Like the whole time we had the shoes. But it was so fascinating to me to watch my body have this very physical reaction to panicking because we can't find my son's shoes. And we already had a replacement. Like it actually was not a problem. And it really hit home for me of like, man, there's so many emotions that I feel that are just kind of like lingering in my system somewhere. Maybe this is like an echo of a feeling that I felt in the past. And I don't want to say it's not real. These are very real emotions, but it's not true. Like the information that I'm receiving right now is something that I can honor and something that I can allow and I can sit with it. And I can also be like, this is not a problem, actually. I love that you think this is a problem. And actually, it's not a problem. So I want you to think that about these feelings as you're sitting with them and as you're allowing them. You can honor them and you can be present with them. And you don't have to let yourself spiral out believing that this now is a problem, that I'm feeling this feeling and I got to fix how I'm feeling. Just letting yourself somatically experience the emotion, letting it be in your body, without telling yourself any stories or any judgments about it, will let it pass. And then you might find that you feel really calm and focused on the other side of that feeling. And you actually feel like you don't have anything to fix. So practice, don't fix, feel. Let yourself be with your emotions and feel your emotions. And I promise it's going to solve a lot of these air quote problems that you have. So lastly, okay, we've talked about what an Enneagram 3 is, what an Ishivir is, kind of how we became this way. We talked about some tactics for it. Now I want to talk about, but what do you do? Okay, so let's like imagine that you decide that you are worthy as you are and you don't need to achieve anything to be more worthy. Does that mean that you don't achieve anything? Because that sounds horrible. I don't want to just live a life where I don't achieve. I still want the trophies. I still want the successes. Like it's still, I want to read the books. Like, does that mean that I have to just accept that like I'm not going to grow anymore? No. Here's where I say no. This is the gospel according to Amber. This is what I've learned for myself. I was reading a book and it was talking about how, surprise, surprise. It was talking about how everything in nature is designed to grow. So I look at my plants and I think like, or trees, I think like two trees standing next to each other aren't like, well, hey, I'm bigger than you, get on my level. Or they're not thinking like, well, I'm growing faster, so I deserve a trophy and you don't. Like they're not comparing themselves to each other. They're just like, I'm a tree and I'm designed to grow and this is what I do and this is who I want to be. Like I'm going to grow. That's what I'm made to do. And so the way I think about it is that you can absolutely heal a lot of these gaping wounds and a lot of these holes that you have and not need outside validation to feel whole. And you can also be somebody who likes to grow. But maybe you grow and you develop yourself just because it's fun and not because it means anything about you. Maybe you just decide to grow because it's fun to grow. What would that be like? Doesn't that sound so fun? Maybe you can just know that you're whole and you're worthy exactly as you are. And now you get to go out and achieve things just because it's fun, because you like to challenge yourself, because you like to see what you can do, because you like to learn more. Not because it makes you any better or makes you any different or anything like that. I hope that this has cracked something open for you. I hope that this has been a helpful episode. If it has, reach out to me. Come find me over on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Amber Deibert. You can follow along and get some really great content every morning in your LinkedIn feed from me. Or you can join my newsletter every single week. I send the most helpful and hilarious, if I might add, emails that are very relatable and are going to help you feel better and scratch that itch of growing just a little bit, but not because you need to. You're totally worthy as you are, but just because you want to, just some little tips and tricks for you. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, let me know. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. See you next week.